Hello, I'm Deborah Sword. Today I want to talk about three strategies for conflict competence when you are in high emotion and the other person isn't giving you a chance to explain yourself. But let's start by thinking of any relaxed conversation you have with someone you like when you're getting along. I'll use the name Chris, for example. Let's say Chris and I are enjoying a coffee break and Chris tells a story about something that happened at home last night. When Chris stops speaking, it's my turn. I might respond with my own story or comment on Chris's nice experience, or I might even relate the experience to a movie scene I remember that was similar. When I finish my turn, Chris might nod or build on what I said or even change the topic to a different movie. And soon we're talking about movies, not about what happened last night to Chris. The response isn't the point. The point is that in a relaxed conversation, Chris and I take turns. That's called turn taking. Each builds on what the prior speaker said, and it works in calm conversations. Here's the key message. Turn taking that's normal, fluid conversation in relaxed settings between relaxed people with relaxed emotions doesn't always translate well in tense settings between angry people with flooded emotions. If that conflict is taking place in a mediation, the mediator asks the parties to lay out the conflict as each of them see it from their different perspectives. The mediator is there to intervene using conflict competencies to keep the turn taking fair. If the conflict happens with no one overseeing the fairness, turn taking becomes an opportunity for you to show your conflict competency. You're not the mediator, you are owning your conflict. The Conflict Owner's Manual isn't trying to help you mediate. Our whole purpose is to help you use the skills you already own so that you can also own your conflict. Here's what it might look like. Let's take a typical script of how unfair turn taking and conflict might sound. So Chris might say, Deborah, that was really a terrible thing to say or do. How could you? And then I'll say, well, you do it too. Now you know how I feel when you do it to me. Okay, so we each had a turn. It's fair in terms of number of words spoken, but it won't improve either the situation or the quality of the relationship. So let's build on that. What might the next set of dialogue turns look like? So Chris might say, well, I did that once and apologized right away. So you knew it was hurtful and yet you did it anyway. And I might say, yes, but here's why I did it. And Chris says, why you did it isn't the point. You shouldn't have done it. Okay, you can see how that goes. Let's hit pause. We're each taking turns. Chris and I are getting deeper into the conflict, not with understanding, but with excuses and justifications and defenses that show the other person is worse. Chris just refused to hear my perspective, so I will likely feel unheard, misunderstood, and deprived of my turn to speak. I'll fume something like, well, I listened to your side of the story and you won't hear mine, which is code for a feeling that Chris isn't fair in turn taking in the conflict. So, what to do instead of turn taking that is fair and that can change the conflict into dialogue that improves the quality of the relationship? Here are some scripts that might help. The first, ask a question. So when Chris says, Deborah, that was a terrible thing you did or said, how could you? I might say, what did you find terrible? So I can answer your question about how I could do it. Second, change the script to let the person know you want to see their perspective. When Chris says, Deborah, that was a terrible thing, I might say, tell me how you see it so I understand the problem we have to work through together. The third, Use your turn for something other than justifying, attacking, or deflecting. It's natural to want to defend yourself. Just hold off on it and use your turn for conflict competency. So when Chris says, Deborah, that was a terrible thing, I might say, I'm happy to tell you anything you want to know, but I'm going to try to do it calmly so we can hear each other's perspective. And that's hard to do when we're attacking or defending. Those are 3 tips for using your turn with conflict competency instead of to justify your actions or defend your position. Thank you for listening. I hope you'll subscribe to our podcast, like it, share it, leave a question or a comment. We love to hear from you. Thank you.